right, everyone, we're back, and I have a special guest today that I'm so honored to have the privilege to interview. One of the great content creators in the Giants community, C. Webb of the Giant Dad podcast. Real cool brother, knows the game, has a strong passion for the Giants, and he's someone that I wanted to introduce to you all so you guys can get to meet him, learn about him, and you guys can go ahead and follow him. So we'll go over all that in the end. But thanks for coming on today, C Webb. How you doing today?
Coach Ed, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me and getting a chance to chop it up today. A lot going on with me in my life. With a daughter turning a month old and have a son being 2 years old. But so glad that we're able to have some time to be able to chop it up, talk about the team we love, and football. Just in general, from the core, football means so much to me. It's given so much to me. Being able to kind of instill different values, be able to provide, made me into the person I am today, and just so thankful to be able to talk about the sport and the team we love.
Well, thank you, man. And first of all, congratulations on the newborn. I know she keeps you up at night, so I've been there before.
But the one thing I will say, boy versus girl, having my first child be a son and having a daughter now, and the way that girl looks at me, it's like I've never explained. I mean, I've never experienced anything different, man. It's very interesting because I'm the oldest of three boys, so you can imagine every day. That's kind of the reason I am the way I am. Every day is a competition, and we're always competing. But to have that daughter and like the whole daddy's girl, I never really kind of understood that.
Welcome to the club. I have three daughters, so I understand exactly what you're talking about. So, all right. So, in terms of sports, how did you first become involved in sports?
Okay, yeah. So, me being the first son, my dad actually played football all the way through. My dad's family is from Roosevelt, Long Island. My mom's from White Plains, Westchester County, New York. My dad played football at Brown University, played defensive line, defensive tackle, and defensive end. Actually had the opportunity to try out for the NFL and did practice squad for a little bit, but just was unfortunately not able to make the cut. But even from the age of 7 years old, I started playing Pop Warner and kind of matriculated through. Also wrestled as well as played baseball growing up. So just kind of, for me, sports has always been something that's been a cornerstone of what I do, but it does not define me individually. For both of my parents, it was all about being a scholar athlete, being a well-rounded person, and being a good person at the same time. But I grew up playing offensive line. I was always the big kid. Played O-line, D-line. Played a little bit of linebacker and fullback in my Pop Warner days, but kind of grew to that title of loving offensive line, the team aspect of offensive line, and being able to, as one of my former coaches says, hold the rope and do your due diligence.
I like that. Hold the rope. I mean, tug of war. Yeah, you got to work as a team. So definitely can relate to that. So in your life journey with sports, what do you feel is your or has been your favorite sports between football, baseball, wrestling? You said.
I would say it comes in stages. Honestly, for me, growing up and kind of doing football, wrestling, baseball. The wrestling back then, I couldn't stand, but as a kid, I had a lot of anger issues, and I was ADHD. I'm sorry, I am ADHD. But the lessons and the life lessons that wrestling teaches you in comparison, and how it prepared me for football, is just not given to none. Like, it's being out on the mat, you versus somebody else. There's nowhere you can point the blame. There's nothing you can say or kind of disguise. mano a mano, and it's so mentally challenging that you got to be perfect, and you got to be able to pick yourself up and just battle yourself and then that other person. So the preparation of wrestling, the team aspect when you're in a match, just you, and then how it affects the
Hmm.
team, all that stuff is something that I really kind of cherish now looking back on it. And the way that like wrestling season, having to cut weight or get stronger, all that stuff really kind of helps you become a better person when it comes to meeting a deadline for as a professional, or having to mold children or be a good husband. Like it all kind of trickles down and applies in certain areas.
You know, I never, wrestled, other than, the neighborhood with your friends
Mhm.
goofing off,
Yeah.
things like that. But, I never thought about it. I watch it, but I've never been deeply involved in it and involved into it. And listening to you, you just taught me a whole lot about it. And, you're giving me a new light and a new perspective. I mean, it's part of a team, just like football, just like the offensive line, but you're still individualized. Your success is key to the team success, but it's also set certain values within you, how you work, how you compete, and fit into the team concept. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that, man. That's awesome.
Absolutely, coach, and especially being a lineman for the bigger guys, for the inside of the box guys, whether you're lineman, linebacker, leverage, learning how to chop your feet, learning how to push pull, all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff directly transferable and correlates right to the football field,
Mm-hmm.
especially for offensive and defensive linemen where you're short bursts, changing your level to block, all that stuff, dropping your hips, exploding, all that stuff on the wrestling mat. It's the same thing.
Okay. Okay. Well, how far did you go playing sports? I mean, did you
All right.
make it to the pros or anywhere like that?
Yeah, I actually got a scholarship to play football at Howard University.
Uh-huh.
Um, Played there, and then tried a little bit to get to the league, but unfortunately didn't work out.
Okay. Did you ever try out for, or were any of those other leagues like the XFL or the USFL, anything like that available?
No, I kind of just gave up after the whole like
Gotcha.
pro day and stuff. My dad always said I was given a brain for a reason, and it's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
used it.
Hey, I understand. That's you got an education. That's more than most people who play sports in high school pursue. So I understand where you're going, and that's smart in itself. So, um, personally, what do you feel is your greatest lesson that you've learned through playing sports?
Always to give back, lift as you
Mm,
climb.
mm,
Um, as I was saying before, previously, football gave so much to me. It's only right to be able to pay it forward to someone else. And if I can take what I've learned from the sport and change just one person's life and make them a better person, I've done my job. So after I finished playing and the whole thing ended, I ended up coaching at Gonzaga College
mhm,
High School, coach football, and I coach wrestling. And being able to give back to different students and just understanding how to teach different styles of people is something that I learned so much in that time period. Just
mhm,
motivating people differently. Everybody has certain push kind of pull, and that's kind of the one thing I was saying when it comes to I'm in business development sales for PepsiCo, and being
mhm,
able to ask certain questions or understand a customer is the same way that you're asking questions to a young man or getting them motivated to run through a wall for you. And really early, I learned that relationships and network is so important, but more so relationships, especially when you're trying to motivate a young adult or young kid in high school, because it's all about being able to have that strong relationship where the kid will do whatever you want them to do because they trust you. So when you're able to build that trust and you say, hey, I need you to do this, this, and this, it gets done versus I don't respect coach or he's not anything. Having that foundation and relationship, it starts with building that bond, but also being able to have that father figure or not authoritarian, but just that level of pedigree where when you say, hey, you cross the line, we got to get back, they understand.
Okay. During your playing days, um, was your dad your biggest influence on how you played, or was there someone else who you feel had a bigger influence on your life?
Well, certainly my dad, 100% my dad, but also my teammates. I mean, the folks that I came in at the college level with, my classmates,
Hmm.
I was playing for and with them, for myself originally, but then unselfishly for my friends because I wanted the team to win. And that's where a lot of my mindset has always been. It's always been about the team. It's about
Hmm.
winning as a team. It doesn't matter if I have 1,000 yards, if I make all the blocks, but if the team doesn't win, it doesn't matter.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's where being able to unselfishly serve others versus just think about yourself has always been my mindset as a person.
Okay. Okay. Um, Now you say you played offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, and fullback. Which one did you love the most, though? Since you played
Mm.
them all, which one did you love the most?
I loved playing left tackle, especially at the high school level,
Hmm.
because it was just so kind of natural for me. Unfortunately, I don't have the longest of arms. So when I
Hmm.
got to college, they were like interior line is what you're going to play. Like I played tackle my freshman year, and there's like no, like it's just not going to work out. Um, but I truly enjoyed like just the tackle position.
What is it about the tackle position that you love the most about it?
Just a lot of times when you have the power run plays or being able to go up on backers, I just
Hmm.
love how the offense and the run game was predicated. We ran a wing T, so a lot of jet sweeps and
Oh
outside stuff.
gosh.
Yeah, yeah. I learned to like it, but I would say being a guard back then, I would have preferred being a guard in high school versus college,
No,
um,
I got you.
just
I got
because of the pulling and stuff with the wing T.
the wing T was when I first played in college. That was the first offense I went up to. And I remember to this day, the first time I played, coach used to harp on us. They're going to trap you. They're going to keep your head on a swivel. Guard went down, and I did not look inside.
Get your
And I
keys.
looked too late. I looked too late, and next thing you know, I'm like this, looking up at the sky. So yes, I hated it. I hated it, but it did taught me. It did teach me a lot. Keep your head on a swivel. Play with good leverage. How to attack the trap block. So I understand it, but I hated that offense more than any offense in the world. So
Mhm.
so um, in your playing days, what type of awards did you win? Championships, personal awards. You know, what type of awards did you win?
Yeah, so I in high school I was all county, all met honorable mention. In wrestling, I was actually third in the state my junior year, and then runner up my senior year
Mm-hmm.
for wrestling. From a college football standpoint, we were above average, but just never could get over the cusp from a team perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I so we ended up finishing third in the MEAC, and then my junior year we finished second. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
senior year bad, but um, yeah, I mean, I was just always kind of that guy that wasn't looking for praise or awards, just wanted to win.
Did you compete against anyone while you were in the MEAC that made it to the NFL?
Oh yeah, so my teammate was Anton Bethea. My freshman year, he was
Oh,
at
okay.
USC, as
Okay.
well as former Giant Super Bowl champion Jeff Pope.
Mm-hmm.
On
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the team when I was there as well. He's Jeff Pope is 2 years older than me. I'm sorry,
Gotcha.
3 years older than me.
Hmm. Okay.
DB. His
Now,
claim to fame is he ran a 4.3 before
Hmm.
really run 4.3s.
I
But
understand.
very good
That's
athlete.
fast though. That was fast back then, so I understand.
But Darius Leonard was a little bit after me within the MEAC. Uh,
Hmm.
and then Justin Durant, he played middle linebacker for Hampton. He played for the Bears for a little bit. Middle linebacker, 52.
Okay. Okay. Bless you.
And we also have
Now,
Peyton that was there when I was there. He was a freshman my senior year.
okay. Now we met through the New York Giants network on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when did you become a Giants fan and why?
Yeah. Day one, my dad, my family is all from New York. Um,
Hmm.
Everyone on my dad's side is Giants fans. Um, my mom's side, they're not really football fans, but my dad is the reason I'm a Giants fan.
Okay.
Took me to my first game when I was 5 years old, and ever since then, like from day one, it was just Giants, Giants, and our family cheers for the Giants.
Okay. Okay. Any other New York teams that you root for outside of football?
All New York, Knicks, Yankees,
Oh,
um,
okay.
yeah, all Knicks.
So
I'm
you
in
rock New York.
the yeah, I
Okay.
rock proudly,
Okay. No problem.
even though I
Now,
reside in the DMV in Maryland right now.
well, look, I've learned just from dealing with everyone through social media that Giants Nation is bigger than being in the tri-state area. So,
Absolutely,
I mean, I even people that are down south, down in Texas, right in the heart of Cowboy Nation, there's quite a few Giants fans. So I've learned, okay, we are bigger than I even imagined. So I respect it. So. Now, I've met many intellectual sports fans throughout my life, and I consider you one of the smartest there is. How did you get such a high level of intellect um, from sports?
I really appreciate that, Coach. A lot of it's just repetition and being
Hmm.
around the game, and
Hmm.
then really just having an open mind, being a student of the game. A lot of
Hmm.
times, people are so quick to say, I know the end all be all." When you keep an open mind and you're able to understand things from multiple ways, it makes you stronger in intellect. So
Hmm.
whether it's running a play a certain way, defending something a certain way, practicing a certain way, when you're able to say, hey, like maybe my way isn't always the right way, but be open
Hmm.
in how there's other ways to attack. That's how you evolve. And that's how I've kind of been able to be successful in studying and understanding the game, whether it was as a player or a coach.
That's a great way and a great perspective to have because like you said, staying having an open mind, it allows you to grow. I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are. When I'm in my 50s and I still try to as much as possible, but I try to keep an open mind because I don't know everything. I mean, my dad's in his 80s and he'll tell me all the time, I don't know everything. I still am learning stuff. So I respect that. Now, I remember you saying that you've coached, um, and I think you said high school. Are there any other levels? Did you coach in college, or what about minor league, semi-pro? Did you ever coach there, or youth football? What levels?
So yeah, I did have the opportunity to coach at the youth level. I did also
Hmm.
coach at middle school as well, but majority of my time was spent at college at Gonzaga College High School, and then I
Hmm.
also coached at Georgetown Prep College High School.
Okay, okay. Where did you get your passion from coaching? I'm
I
sorry. Go ahead. What were
did
you
also
saying?
have the opportunity to GA as well at Howard for a year in
Okay,
between. Yeah,
okay. Where did you get your passion to coach from?
really just seeing people grow and develop and teaching. As I was playing the game and being able to teach my teammates or whatnot, just the ins and outs of the game, that's real where I really saw just individual love for the game. Where like, hey, I was able to teach my teammate this, and it just made me happy to be able to see someone grow and develop.
Yeah, that is a beautiful thing, man. I definitely understand where you're coming from. When you help others, and They go out and you give them the information, and then they take it and they transfer it to the field, and they have success. It's just so rewarding. So I understand where you're coming from.
And it's funny because, Coach, after Howard and graduating, then doing a little bit of the GA thing, um, I was actually looking at teaching,
Hmm.
getting
Hmm.
into education administration, coaching at the same time, but just ended up not working out. Ended up finding that I was very good at selling and just training and helping, motivating people in a different way.
I mean, to be honest with you, sales is in every aspect of life, and coaching. You have to sell you have to sell, and what you don't know, I did sales too for a while. So I did it in the call center. So, and one of the things that they taught us, and when I ended up doing workforce development, I always said sales is a service. It's not, people look at sales as, the car salesman, someone trying to get over on you and deceive you or sell you a bad product. But, that's the bad of sales. But there's the good of sales when, someone calls in and they have a problem and you get them the product that's going to help them address their problem, and then they leave happy. And later on you get a commendation saying this representative thought about me and not selling to get money in their pocket. They thought about me, and it's kind of like coaching. You're teaching them the techniques, and they go out and execute, and it's rewarding. So I understand where you're coming from with that. So um in terms of coaching football and wrestling, um, well, with football, did you only coach the offensive side of the ball, or did you do both sides of the ball?
I also coached defensive line as well as linebackers at Gonzaga. For I did defense for 2 years, but mostly offense.
Which one do you like? Which position did you prefer?
Selfishly, offensive line because I played it and I know it like the back of my hand.
Okay, okay. Do you have, or did you have any career goals, like for example, trying to get to the NFL as a coach?
As a kid, I always kind of dreamed of getting to the NFL as a player, and when
Hmm.
that didn't work out, thought about coaching, but saw the sacrifice and life changes that I'd have to give up in order to do that. Have a couple buddies that are still coaching now. Actually, one of the players that I coached, Austin Gunn, great young man. He's one of the assistant offensive line coaches for the Bills right now. Um, and just seeing, I have another buddy, Justin Poindexter, who's coaching now. He's been coaching since we graduated, and just looking at the work life balance and not being
Hmm.
able to truly have a family, or if you're not growing very quickly, the money standpoint of being a coach, it's hard. It's hard.
Hmm.
You're doing what
Hmm.
you love, but you're doing it for basically for free.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, high school and a lot of what they say low levels. Yeah, you're right. You're doing it for the love of the sport. You're not doing it for money. So I understand. So
And getting
no,
able to get that breaker, that shot to get put on, it's all about who you know.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
even when I was as a GA, like you can get a free education, you'll get a little, you'll get room and board, a stipend, but it's not life changing money. Like, yeah,
Well,
you're.
it's not like it is today with some of these kids. So,
Oh man,
so
I mean, at a one double A or one A small school, you're looking at probably like 25, $30,000 stipend. Um, but all your bills are paid for, so
exactly. So, and if you're smart, yeah, you take that money and you know, I've
you
I've
grind.
talked to I've talked to a couple of kids who, they say the right things. Well, some of the money, yeah, I'm going to party, but a lot of it I'm going to put to the side because I'm getting a free education, and you never know what happens when you leave school. So I was like, okay, that's a smart way to talk. So
Yeah. The biggest thing is just your network and being able to build those relationships with the coaches
hmm
that you're with. So once they get moved up or promoted, they bring you with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A
Mm-hmm.
lot of
That,
it's a
that's
lot of it's luck.
Yeah. It is. It is. It is. I've never been that. I can't say I've never been that fortunate. I never pursued it vigorously like that because of my family situation. So I've
Hmm.
always been told, Coach, you need to be coaching in the NFL or in high level college, and I know that. I understand. I have the mind for it, but when you got three kids,
You gotta pay the
bills got to
bills.
get paid. Yeah. So so um, with your players, all right. We talked about them taking the information that you coach them up on and going out on the field and being successful with it. What about their personal lives? Do they take any lessons from your coaching to incorporate that into their personal lives so they can be successful?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of the beauty of being of coaching is being that role model. So starting with different little snippets of be who you are, say who you are,
Hmm.
um, and kind of the kids being able to feed off your energy, the values and things you are able to instill in them. That's the one thing that I truly love about coaching. You can't be someone you aren't, say you are something, and then demonstrate something else. The kids immediately pick that up once they kind of see that you're not who you are.
Yeah, that's true. They definitely pick up on that. So now I want to transition a little bit into you as a content creator. What led you to get into that aspect of the sports world, being as a content
Yeah, I
creator?
mean, Giants football is something that I love, I care about, I think about all the time. And being a content creator was an outlet to be able to voice and communicate my love and passion for the sport and the team to the world. Um, and if I wasn't content creating, I'd be talking about the Giants with either friends, my brothers, my dad. Like, so regardless if I create content or not, it's going to get communicated one way. It's just, is it going out to the masses or is it just going out to close families and friends?
Do you have any large goals and aspirations? There's those who, they push for, 100,000 followers or 1 million followers, and they want to get out there, to the mainstream. I mean, do you have any goals and aspirations like that?
My goal is just to continually progress and get better at my craft, to get
Hmm.
better at the game of being able to podcast, communicate, and if I grow, great. I'd rather have quality followers and content people. I'm sorry, quality fans that are listening and being able to communicate with me versus just having anyone listen to it, if that makes sense.
Hmm. No, I understand where you're going. Because that's like you said, that's quality. It's quality
Quality
over
over quantity.
quantity. Yeah, so
Mhm.
I definitely understand where you're going with that. Um, Now, with what is the name of your program? It's the Giant Dad podcast, right?
The Giant Dad podcast.
Okay, all right. Now, most of it is that I know of has been on the Giants. Are there any other areas that you do content creating for in sports?
Right now, just Giants. So the Giant Dad podcast is really solely focusing on Giants and fatherhood.
Hmm.
For me, being a new dad, it was so important, and kind of how I discovered myself and wanting to create content was to be able to share my journey of fatherhood with other Giants fans. And not saying you have to be a Giants fan to listen, but just all football fans in general. So
Hmm. Hmm.
whether it's being able to take your kid to a football game, whether it's um, introducing your kid to sports, whether it's disciplining your child, all aspects of fatherhood, whether you have a boy, a girl, doesn't really matter. Just wanted to
Hmm.
provide an outlet for other dads, moms, whoever, to kind of talk about the fatherhood and parenthood, and
Hmm.
then relate to certain techniques, whether you like, dislike, of how I'm kind of raising my kids and going through fatherhood.
Well, how has that journey, that venture been so far? The correlation, the involvement of parenting, being a father, along with sports. I mean, how do you feel it's been so far?
Well, to start it off, like just being the head of the household and being the coach of your team, it's very similar, and kind of your players are going to model off how you are as a person, you and your
Hmm.
wife are the coaches, and it's so important as a staff to be on the same page, to be able to communicate. And if your bond and relationship with your wife is not strong, it's going to be very easy for things to not go the right way. The same thing for the Giants. The same way that our GM and coach weren't married at hip to hip, the coaching staff was all on different pages. The team didn't have success. Um,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
and then you have coaches saying run laps just to run laps. Like there's no method to the madness. Um, you got coaches taking knees because they're mad at the other coaches or mad at the front office and the ownership. Um, you got to be able to have a rhyme to the reason, and
Hmm.
there has to be a plan. There always needs to be respect and a relationship behind that plan, and that's
Hmm.
when all those things start churning to give you success.
It's a great point, great perspective, and you're so right about the the correlation between parents, mothers and fathers being on the same page no matter what. Hey, you may not agree, on what's going on at that point in time, but you can't show separation in front of your children. And the same thing with the coaches. At
Mhm.
least talk behind closed doors to get on the same page. Same thing with management. Being I've been in management, been in coaching. I know you have too. You know, everyone has to be together because just like you said, if not, players are going to read into that, children are going to read into that, and as my dad told me when I was a first time parent, be on the same page because if not, kids pick up on that and they're going to play one parent against the other, and
Mhm.
that is so true. So
And
great.
it's very easy from a standpoint of children to just kind of completely tap out and for parents to tap out. But the biggest thing that I've learned, especially going from 1 to 2 kids, is you can't ever get emotionally upset. You got to be able to remove emotion, and whether you're right or wrong, say you're right and wrong, say you're
Hmm.
wrong or whatever, and be able to move on. Don't ever let
Hmm.
same way a lot of Giants fans were emotionally scarred from what this front office and ownership has been doing. And I think from a standpoint from the top down, the Marentish family always wanted to get it right. It just didn't
Hmm.
fruition, unfortunately. Um,
Hmm.
I say that to say your parents and you as a team always want to do right.
Hmm.
Sometimes the plan doesn't always execute, but that doesn't mean get emotionally upset or frustrated. Be able to remove emotion, pivot, and keep trying to work at it to get to where you need to get to. And that's kind of how
And,
the Giants were able to find success. They found Joe Shane and Brian Dable. They kept
you
working.
Bro, you need to look at teaching a parenting class, man, because that is the most profound thing that I have heard. Because I'm gonna be honest, it's not easy to take the emotion out. You know, especially of being a parent, because sometimes you care too much for your kids' well-being, and yeah, you get upset. You put high expectations on them, and when they don't go that route, sometimes you do get emotional, and as the old school way, yeah, I've been yelled at and disciplined, and parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and you see the emotion. So that's a great way to look at it, to disassociate yourself in that regard. So that way, because if you get too emotional, you're going to overreact. And that's the biggest thing. So you want to stay level headed and in control. So this way you can make sound decisions, because when you're too emotional, you make emotional decisions, and sometimes 9 times out of 10 they're going to be bad decisions. So
And I think for
that's.
me, getting older and understanding that as I've grown through my life, driving home from MetLife, being very upset, it's just not worth it. And
Mhm.
when I was able to remove that emotion out of my fandom, I found
Mhm.
watching Giants football and it was just so much more seamless. Not like I am very optimistic in general, just as a person, but I still kind of reserve my emotion before completely flip flopping, and that's where
Hmm.
I don't ever flip flop. If I was wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. If I'm right, great. Like I'm not going to sit here and push it in your face.
Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, you were just talking about the fan base, so w- we know that a lot of this fan base is divisive, is divided right now. Whether it's on Daniel Jones or the overall record, whatever. Overall, what is your feelings about the entire Giants fan base, and especially what's going on, with the divide between the fan base?
Yeah, it really goes back to just folks being able to remove themselves from the past and not be emotionally scarred to completely react when things are good, bad, and kind of stay level headed. A lot of fans just completely think we're either going to win the Super Bowl or we're going to be O for all. There's no kind
Hmm.
of middle ground a lot of times. And whether it's Daniel Jones and kind of pumping all the media stuff that some of these fans think, oh, we have to have an elite quarterback or we have to have a number one wide receiver,
Hmm.
and not understanding truly the game of football that every position matters. That's
Hmm.
where a lot of it stems from, unfortunately. But it's just as a content creator and as someone that's played the game for so long, coached the game, you try and educate as many people as possible, um, and not really take any of those takes personal. Because if someone truly doesn't know, I can't fault you. But I'm here as a fellow Giants fan to try and educate and teach you. And then if you choose to be ignorant, then that's on you.
Hmm. Hmm. That's true. Um, do you think the fan base's perceptions on certain players, i.e., Daniel Jones, is holding them back from being completely supportive of the team?
Absolutely. I think when you look at how people view Daniel Jones and kind of the situation that he's been in, they don't put grace or thought behind it because of the team and the core around him. Around anybody, most quarterbacks would not be able to be successful. And yes, I get it. Everybody wants to have a Patrick Mahomes. Like, it's nice to
Hmm.
tour, but there's only one of him, and that's just the truth. Majority of quarterbacks need a lot of pieces in order to be successful. And if you look at where Patrick Mahomes came from, the situation he was in, it
Hmm.
it breathed success.
Hmm. You know what? There's one quarterback who, and I know most people will hate me for saying this, but
Hmm.
there's one quarterback who was, to me, was in a very similar situation until he started getting talent, and that's Jalen Hurts. I know plenty of Eagles fans who were saying, get him out of here. He's not a quarterback. He can't be successful. And in one season, just because you brought in A.J. Brown, but you did build that team around him. You did
Hmm.
build a strong defense. You built a running game. You added key receivers, and you honed the offense around what he did well instead of trying to make him into a quarterback that he's not.
I
But
would say also, coach, they built the team because it was the right thing to do.
yes,
And then
yes.
when he started showing flashes, they said, okay, now let's pivot and build this team to what he does well. Whether that's with
Hmm.
A.J. Brown being able to throw the deep ball, whether that's being able to run the rock down your throat with the RPO game. Um,
Hmm.
they kind of were there already. It's just the whole Carson thing kind of went to crap, and he took advantage of his opportunity.
Yeah, great point. Great point. It's just I looked at that situation. I have a brother who's an Eagles fan, so and a
Hmm.
couple of cousins who are Eagles fans, and I'm fans with some Eagles content creators, and that's some of the things that I kept hearing about Hurts. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been following the kid since he was at Alabama. I mean, when he came in as a freshman, I saw what he could do and what he couldn't do, and
Mm-hmm.
and then transfer to Oklahoma, and I always felt he was a decent quarterback, but he's also expanded his game. So, and I feel the same way about DJ. I've always said,
Mm-hmm.
how can any quarterback thrive if he doesn't have the talent around him to thrive, to be successful? Football's a team sport. You need quarterback can throw the ball, but you need receivers to catch it. Plain and simple. If your receivers aren't catching the ball, there's nothing he can do. He can't throw it and go catch it for him. You
Yep.
need offensive linemen to block for you. If you can't have your right guard picking up a stunt and just staying with with the defensive tackle and not working with the tackle on the switch offs,
It's gonna be a
quarterback
long
can't do
day.
much. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and I've always felt like that, with this fan base. I've always said prior to me being a content creator, Giants fans are some of the smartest fans in the whole league. And it's just the divisiveness that's a problem. But thinking about it, I go back to the days of Phil Simms. We always hard on quarterbacks. Eli was the same way. Phil Simms, Dave
Well,
Brown.
you got the new era. I'm sorry, the old era of Nick Foles and the Giants and Jeff Hostetler.
Exactly. Hostetler, Kent Graham. I mean, I could go down the list, and it just seemed like every quarterback we were hard on, and
Nobody's
it's
ever good
just
enough. No one's ever good
it.
enough.
But now I see how divided we become, and it's I do I am I've started. That's why I wanted to ask you that question. I do feel that we are holding back. So,
Mm-hmm.
but what are your overall thoughts on the team for this season?
I'm very excited because when you look at this team and kind of look how ownership from the start was able to look themselves in the mirror
Uh-huh.
when we took those two meetings against Washington and say, "Hey, it's time to evolve and change." And
Hmm.
that's when they finally brought somebody from the outside in, Joe Shane, Brandon Brown, who both did a great job in building Buffalo and Philadelphia, and we finally kind of see some flashes of them being able to build through the draft. And
Hmm.
that's what's
Hmm.
been so important to all teams that are kind of at the top of this league is being able to uh, find talent, keep them, develop talent, and then re-sign talent. Uh,
Exactly.
so it looks like that's kind of how this team is going to build. And
Mhm.
how these Giants fans feel if Daniel Jones is the guy or is not, the right thing to do regardless is build through the draft and build the roster up. And that's what this team is constantly doing. They're constantly always looking to upgrade the roster. Um, I mean, look at what Joe Sheen's done. He's re-signed Andrew Thomas to a 5-year deal. He was able to sign the quarterback. He was able to extend the running back. He was able to get a linebacker, which was a big issue for us. Was able to sign our all-star D tackle. I'm sorry, all-pro D tackle. Was able to draft two cornerbacks that are potential starters, or are starters for us, but we'll see how good they are. Was able to also find a free safety. Like, this guy is doing a lot of great things, and whether the record is good or bad, I don't even think this year will tell us truly what we have yet. I think we need to
Hmm.
give another year to say, okay, all these moves that Joe Shane made this past off season, his fruits of his labor are coming into effect. Even if the
You,
Giants finish 9-8 or 8-9, 10-7, and make the playoffs again, I still think we're a little bit further out than what we want to say for being true contenders.
okay. Do you think we can make the playoffs this year and maybe even go further than last year?
I think we could definitely make the playoffs and be in the NFC Championship. I just we just have to get the most out of our players the same way we did last year. Um, I think when you look at a lot of the games last year, there were some games that we could have still won and could have won 10, 11 games last year.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
there's some games where the ball kind of floated our way, but some of it's just being lucky too. Even
Okay.
look at the Tennessee game where a field goal was missed for us to win.
Hmm. 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 True.
with the talent that was on that team, we weren't um, single-handedly winning football games or convincingly winning football games. Everything was very close, and that's something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I say we have to blow everybody out, but I would like to see us control the games that we're supposed to control.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, this year, are there any players or position groups that you will be keeping your eye on?
My
And
biggest
I mean
eyes.
for the whole season. I mean for the whole season, not just
Mhm.
just a game or two for the whole season.
For me, it's the DBs, Cordell Flott, Deontay Banks, and Trey Hawkins, as well as Evan Neal. I mean, I think Evan Neal, the DBs are so imperative to our success,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
especially when you look at this team and how we've invested. You've kind of paid all your talent in your core of your roster, and he's part of that core long term.
mm-hmm,
Him and those DBs have to work out for this team to be successful long term. And if you have to go out to spend high draft capital on another tackle, that sets back your building process.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, I agree with you there. I mean, it's critical for Neil to, kick in and elevate his game. Well, step up. I'm not expecting him to be an All Pro. No, I'm not even
Mhm.
expecting him to, be a Pro Bowl. Just as I like to say, be a middle of the pack
Mhm.
offensive tackle right now. That means you're progressing. That's all I'm looking for from Evan Neal. So, and I like your perspective on the DBs, and I'm thankful you didn't say Darnay Holmes.
You gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta
Yeah,
go.
so you got to go. But uh,
I would say also too when you look at it, I mean, look how many DBs that we've drafted in the past 10 years that flopped. DeAndre Baker, um, Eli Apple. Um, who else flopped?
it's too
I'm,
many.
I'm
Too
miss,
many.
there's too many. Yeah, even my man Rodarius Williams just got cut. Um,
Rodarius, Aaron Robinson, you could say technically he's flopping because he has talent, but he can't get on the field.
um,
So
Julius Peppers didn't work out. We didn't draft him, but we acquired him through the Odell trade. Um,
mhm.
just yeah, we used to be our DB room from I would say to early 2000s to 2013 was always strong, and then it just we just stopped being able to find those guys.
Basically. So
Yeah.
now, for the audience, can you give an example of a challenging situation you've countered in your life, and because of sports, you've been able to battle through and, in a sense, be successful from it?
Oh yeah, I would say in my professional life, having patience and still knowing that you have to perform at a high level when
Mm-hmm.
being told you're not ready for a promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I was told at my previous employer that I wasn't ready to be a district manager, and I need to wait I need to keep performing at a higher level. So it's kind of like when you're told no, you want to do things at even a higher level, and that's what made me study more, made sure I was on my P's and Q's even more, became more organized, and was looking at my competitors within the workforce to say, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
make sure I do everything in my body possible to outperform. And within 5 months after that conversation I had with my manager, I got promoted.
Hmm. Okay. Congrats. One thing that I'm noticing about you, you're very quietly, but you are a strong competitor. I mean,
I,
from
I'm,
your
I'm
siblings.
Coach, if there's one thing about me, it doesn't matter what we're doing. I am a competitor. I
Yes,
love to compete. It doesn't have to be football. I love to compete, and I love
and
to win.
that's the beauty. Like some people don't get it. Life is competition, everything, and just going out competing and putting out your best, and then when you succeed, it's just that much more. It's also proving to yourself that you know what, you can do it, you can overcome, and you're not letting anything hold you back and hold you down. So I respect that in you, man. You're a great competitor. So, and if you ever became a head coach, man, I'm going to tell you, your team is definitely going to be a championship team within a few years. I feel that, man. I'm just sitting here talking to you. So, you definitely have
I
that
would love to
mindset.
get back to it. Just right now, it's not the right time.
Financially, we get it. Exactly. So now,
Maybe I'll
if
return
people
to high school soon. Once the kids get a little bit bigger, I can get that opportunity.
Now, if people or businesses wish to get in contact with you, how can bless you? How can they reach you?
Yeah, you can find me at on Twitter at Giant Dad Podcasts, as well
Hmm.
as email me at New York Football Giant Dad Podcast at gmail.com.
Hmm.
Um, and you could also inquire via Facebook or Instagram at Giant Dad Podcast.
Okay. Okay. Well, in closing, is there anything else that you want the audience to know about you?
Just want to thank you for your time, Coach. Want to say thank you so much for always being able to chop it up with me and being available. And just want to say to Giants fans that be patient, trust the process, trust this, trust the Mayer and Tish family to know that they've raised their hand and say that they truly want to bring a great product to you. This general manager and assistant general manager want to bring a great product to you. Things don't happen overnight. And when you trust the process and you continue to work, we're starting to see the glimmer of it with some of these players, with the coaching staff. They're doing the right things. It's going to all
Hmm.
work out. And when you're able to release your emotion around it and just know that things are going to work out for the best, even though the things haven't worked out in the past, it will make you feel better. But just want Giants fans to know that we're heading in the right direction, and it's a very exciting time to be a Giants fan.
Webb, thank you so much for that perspective. Giants Nation, please listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about, and he's so right. We have to be patient, be understanding. I know it's not easy sometimes, but yes, you just take a step back. Even if sometimes it's get up from the TV, go walk away, take a break, get something to drink, come back, sit down, then you can refocus and enjoy the game a little bit better. So I understand where you're coming from. So thank you again for the time, C Web. I really appreciate you. Continue success. With the new your new daughter, and with the Johnny Dad podcast. I'll definitely be tuning in to check out other editions. And ladies and gentlemen, you know what I say in sports: make sure you turn it on and turn it up.
Cool.